Warm greetings to all. Hello everyone. I am Dr.K.Reena, Assistant Professor, PG and Research Department of History, Nirmala College for Women, Coimbatore. In this video, we are going to discuss about bonded labor.
Meaning of the bonded labor. The word bonded means put into bond or a tied or an agreement. The labor means one worker or labor. Labor may either be physical or mental. Bonded labor or the person who are bound to perform certain forced labor. A bond is between two persons, one is a master and another is a worker. Serfdom also is brought under the system. Here the labor or the tenant is bound to live and labor on the land belonging to another person. They have no freedom of movement. Uncleared, debit make the whole family enter into compulsory or forced labor on the lender's land. They are not treated like humans. They are treated as commodities. Poverty makes him to accept bonded labor or forced labor. History of bonded labor. The problem of the bonded labor is prevalent since ancient period. It is present in countries like India even after her independence. It was referred as slavery, though not in the name of bonds in ancient Greeks and Roman society. Slavery was in existence in Germany, Latin America, Britain, etc. The slaves were from various tribes. Huge number of slaves were engaged by the upper classes and huge estate owners. This resulted in the development of agricultural slavery. Then came the plantation slavery and debit bondage. The slaves underwent frightful abuse and cruelty, and as such they lost their human dignity. They were either paid no wages or very low wages. In England, slaves were openly sold in action. Mostly, Negroes were sold as slaves. During the time of American War of Independence in the year 1776, many people had realized that slavery was wrong. At one stage, prohibition of slavery was tried at. In due course, a large number of people in North America felt that slavery was an evil practice and it should be eradicated throughout the state. The President Abraham Lincoln issued the Slave Emancipation Act in the year 1863. Bonded labor in India before and since independence. The system of bonded labor existed in India various names such as slavery, serfs, bondage, forced labor, exploit labor, etc. In India, its existence could be traced from the period of industrialist civilization. Due to the coming of Aryans in India, the caste system came into force. Sudras, the last cadre of society, were treated as slaves and untouchables. Buddha Jataka stories, epics, and Arthasastra mention the existence of slavery in India. There are evidence of forced labor during the period of Guptas, Harshas, and Cholas. Domestic slaves also were in existence. Slave dynasty ruler Goodwin Aibak himself was a slave. During the time of wars, slaves were utilized the maximum level by the rulers and commanders of the army. During the period of Mughals, slaves increased. Though Akbar tried to abolish slavery, he could not succeed in his attempt. The slave trade was intensified in the later part of the 18th century. During the British period, the Slavery Abolition Act was passed in the 1843. Then came the forced labor or bonded labor. Indian Penal Code prohibited forced labor in the year 1860. These bonded labors are called in different names in different states of India. In Tamil Nadu, they are referred as Velekaran. In Kerala, Cherumar. In Odisha, Holius. In Andhra, Jesigula. In Gujarat, Holi. In Karnataka, Zita, etc. These bondar labours were mostly poor, Dalit and tribals. A survey conducted by the National Labour Institute in the year 1978, it was estimated that were about 13 lakhs bonded labourers in India. Almost every state in India has bonded labourers. In the year 1984, more than 1 lakh bonded labourers were set free from the hold of landlords or other well-off leaders in society. There is no reliable data available about the exact number of bonded labourers in India. Bonded labourers even after 70 years of independence are found in various occupations. Example, agriculture, industries, stone quarries, mines, jewel manufacturing center, diamond and gem cutting industries, copper industries, hotels and other establishments. Steps taken by government to abolish bonded labour since independence. Article 23(1) of the Indian Constitution provides that traffic in human beings and beggars and other similar forms of forced labour are prohibited, and any contravention of this portion shall be an offence punishable in accordance with law. Mines Act of 1952, which was enacted to amend and consolidated law relating to the regulation of labour and safety in mines, came into force with effect from July 1st, 1952. Contract Labour Regulations and Abolition Act 1970, an act to regulate the employment of contract labour in certain establishments and to provide for its abolition in certain circumstances and for matters connected with Bonded Labor System Abolition Act 1976 provides for the abolition of bonded labor system and for matters connected therewith. Section 2 of the Act defines bonded labor system. The Interstate Migrant Workmen Regulation of Employment and Conditions of Service Act 1979 was an act of the Parliament of India enacted to regulate the condition of service of interstate labourers in Indian labour law. The Child Labour Prohibition Act 1981, the Supreme Court of India has directed the central and the state governments for the release of bonded labourers and rehabilitation. Rehabilitation measures. In the year 1998, as many as 851 bonded labourers have been identified in Salem district. Identity cards were issued to 474 bonded labourers who were rescued from different parts of Tamil Nadu. Each one of the rescued was eligible for a financial grant of Rs 10,000. Housing facilities also arranged from them through the block development officers. Arrangements are also made to provide jobs under the Employment Assurance Scheme. Priority would be given in all training schools under TRISM, that means Training Youth for Self-Employment. Besides the arrangements made for the enrollment of the children in schools, 212 persons were arrested under the Bonded Labour Abolition Act. Steps were taken to identify the bonded labourers in various parts of the country and initiated legal action against the culprits who kept the innocent in bondage. The Supreme Court also directed the states of Tamil Nadu, Odisha, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh to take immediate steps for the rehabilitation of 1,400 bonded laborers. Conclusion. The various legislation to abolish bonded labor are not successfully put into force because the bound master dominates over others and influences the executive. Thus, the system of the bonded labor continues to persist. Bonded labor must be made to release the rights for which education is the only means. The loopholes in the Minimum Wage Act should be removed. Social conscience also could help the eradicated bonded labor.
Thank you for watching this video.